Peace is king over black supremacy. Because in order to address the effects of white supremacy, you have to first overthrow the system of white supremacy. You can't effectively address the symptoms of drug abuse until you first get the person off the damn drugs. Some of our so-called activists and teachers and leaders within our community are trying to address the symptoms of white supremacy without getting rid of the goddamn white supremacy. They like the pharmaceutical industry. They like the medical industry. They're not trying to heal you. They just want to treat the symptoms. They don't want to heal the disease. See, the disease is white supremacy, the system of white supremacy. We must destroy that before we can address its effects. It's not over with. People talking about how we've been damaged and what we've went through over the last 400 years and the Willie Lynch and slavery and all that. But we're still going through it because last time I checked, the system of white supremacy is still in operation. The system of white supremacy must be overthrown. And we must come into power. And at that point, that we are absolutely and completely at that point of in power, then we can address the effects of it. Brother Reggie says something deep. And I agree with some of the things that Brother Reggie says, dealing with sovereignty. And he makes some points. But when he was sitting down talking to Ronald Savage, he said, you know what? Everybody in those projects in Castle Hill, everybody in those projects went through something. Went through the travesties and the tragedy that comes along with being an oppressed people under white supremacy. And as long as white supremacy continues to go on, we continue to allow the system of white supremacy to go on and rule over us, we will continue to go through these things. And all of us, as long as we continue to allow the system of white supremacy to do what it's doing, all of us are victims in one form or another of it. And only those that are willing to step up today to destroy it, not other victims, but to destroy the system of white supremacy itself, down to the goddamn white man, will be the victors. And victim consciousness is when we become obsessed with the victimization. And we focus more on the victimization than we do what it's going to take for us to become the victors and become the rulers of our destiny and destroy this goddamn system of white supremacy. You have to overthrow the system. And you can't be distracted with all these other issues that are symptoms. You can't. I always use ISIS as an example, which is very deep. Because a lot of people say, you know, ISIS, they're not no real Muslims. They're doing a lot of stuff that Muslims don't do. Because they want to create a sovereign state in the Levant, the sovereign state of Iraq. But they said this is not the Sunnah of Muhammad. Peace and blessings be upon him. This is not his Sunnah. This is not his deen. What they are doing is anti-Islam. But what you don't realize about ISIS and what's going on in Iraq, Syria, is that when you're at fucking war with an enemy that's trying to blow your fucking head off, that's trying to kill you, imprison you, lock you up, kill you through drugs, putting garbage in your community, pollution, chemtrails, biological and chemical warfare, psychological warfare, propaganda. When you are going up against an enemy that's trying to annihilate you, you are not going to be walking no goddamn deen. You're not going to walk the Sirat al-Mustaqim, the straight path, in a way that was able to be walked when you were not at war. Your way must be adapt. Your culture must adapt to the warfare that you're under. Your decisions and your philosophy and your ideology must adapt to address the war that you're in. And when you're at war with your enemy, your culture is going to be a culture of war, a culture of revolution. And it'll be a culture to some people that look like a culture where anything goes. But no, it's relative to war that we're fighting. They don't have time to follow the deen of Muhammad when you dropping bombs on their goddamn mosque. You're going to miss a goddamn prayer. You're not going to be able to follow it that way given the situation that you're in. You're at war. So our people in our communities are not going to be righteous. There's going to be some drug addicts. There's going to be some of this, some of that, all type of adaptations, all type of compensations, and all different types of behavioral manifestations to address the attack and the war that we're under. And we can't waste our time attacking the victims of white supremacy and not man up and stand up to destroy the victimizer, to destroy white supremacy itself and to overturn this system. Because the coward attacks the victim and the brave attacks the real victimizer and brings it down. So I had to speak on that in this video. I had to go in on that. The enemy is the system of white supremacy. And as long as we got project buildings and we got low resources and low budgets and we got all this shit that the white man is constantly doing, whether he's doing it through the Democratic Republican Committee, the Democratic Committee or the Republican Committee, all this shit that he's doing to us, we're going to have some issues until we fucking deal with his ass. And we in unity,